And we are live on YouTube, and I am just waiting on the video to connect on my other monitor so that I can grab that link and put it in our group so that our community can join us live on YouTube and in the live chat very conveniently. So let me grab this link. Okay, we got the link. We're going to put that in the group. All right, that is in the group so people can join us. That is awesome. All right, let me make sure that I can see our live chat. And I can. Cool beans. Okay, speaking of groups, are you an entrepreneur that is spinning their wheels and struggling to make it to your first 6 figures in business? Then this morning show is just for you. But if you want to be in studio for this show and have the opportunity to take advantage of the hot seat to get your individual obstacles addressed, just like Shawana and Cheryl, Dr. Latoya, Dawana, Dr. LaFera, Dr. Tachi, Keith, and Kimberly, you need to be in the group because this is just one of the ways that you can take advantage of the value given by our group. So go to shaycannon.info/group to join us. We come together as a free business mastermind, giving you more value than most paid masterminds. We have 3 pillars to make sure that you get this value. Number 1, we come together and build community with events like a virtual happy hour and a movie club night. Number 2, we are intentional about collaborating to make each other's businesses better and to make money together. And number 3, we have conversations that are transformational for your business growth, like free trainings and this morning show. So you need to join us, shaycannon.info/group. All right, cool beans. Welcome to your first 6 figures morning show. This week's blog is at shaycannon.com/proposal. shaycannon.com/proposal. Good morning, Chantilly over here on our YouTube side. Because what we're talking about this week is what I promised you before we went out on break, is we're going to talk about faster service proposals going out can bring more money in, okay? I want to teach you how to get your proposals out faster, all right? So for online service-based businesses, the speed at which proposals are sent can significantly impact your revenue generation, okay? The quicker a proposal reaches a potential client, the sooner the opportunity to secure the business is realized. So delays in a proposal delivery, you know how y'all are taking forever. You telling them, hold on, I'll send it in a couple of days, and then the days turn to weeks. Yeah, okay. So what happens then is it can lead to loss of momentum, diminishing client interest, and leaving room for your competitors to swoop in and get this business, okay? So without a streamlined process for getting proposals out quickly, business risks not only losing clients to more responsive competitors, but also leaving money on the table by failing to capitalize on time-sensitive opportunities. So speed is not just a convenience, it's a crucial factor in driving consistent cash flow. All right? So this week, we're going to talk about 4 things you need to do to get those proposals out quicker, all right? The first thing you need to do is what we're going to talk about today, because we got to set the groundwork for these proposals. And this is why a lot of you are not getting your proposals out quickly. You haven't done the groundwork for the proposals. So what you're doing is you're reinventing the wheel every time. You're reinventing the wheel every time, and it takes you time to actually reinvent the wheel. And so that's why you can't just hand over a proposal in a timely manner, okay? So the first thing you're going to want to do is we want to start to create phases for our service, okay? Phases, PHASES, in case the Alabama is getting in the way, okay? So breaking down your service into clear, manageable phases not only provides structure, but it also sets realistic expectations for both you and the client, okay? The structure, you need it for you and the client. So start by dividing the service into distinct stages of implementation. So based on these phases, we're going to develop a preliminary timeline to guide the client on what to expect and when. So be transparent about each phase, what it includes, and just as importantly, let these people know what it does not include, okay? Don't wait till people ask for stuff to tell them that that's not included. Go ahead and upfront let them know, hey, this is what you're gonna get. We don't do this as a part of this though, okay? So let them know what's included and what's not included. So this approach ensures clarity, prevents prevents you looking crazy, okay? Because sometimes people think that you're nickel and diming them to death when really what you didn't do is give them enough information up front to have the correct expectation, all right? It's going to facilitate a smoother communication and ultimately creating a more professional and efficient service experience. So the first thing you need to do is break your service down into phases, okay? Now, that was the blog post. On the morning show, we give you more. So let me pull up these show notes because I got some more information for you, all right? Let me scroll back up. Here we go. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm your host, Shay Cannon. I'm an award-winning fractional chief operating officer with an exclusive clientele of 6- and 7-figure CEOs, living my best life just 3 blocks from the beach in Mexico. So I use my superpowers to create a foundation of business growth to position online service-based businesses like you to generate your first 6 figures to fund your desired lifestyle of freedom, even if you don't have a team. So let's get into these phases, all right? So first, I want to share with you a little visual so that you understand like the flow of an example service phase. Okay, I'm thinking that you can see my screen, all right? Y'all know I don't trust y'all. Let me see, because y'all had me showing the wrong thing the whole morning show one time. Okay, that's the right thing showing. Okay, so this is an example of phases, okay, that you can break your service down into. And most services kind of fit into these phases. You might have more phases, but most often these phases are included, okay? So you have an intake phase. All right. Then you have an assessment phase. Then you have a strategy phase. You have a plan phase. And then you have an implementation phase. And we're going to talk implementation in more detail in a minute because implementation in and of itself can have its own phases. But at least these need to be, you need to look at your business and say, okay, when I intake, what does that include? When I assess, what does that include? When I strategize, what does that include? When I plan, what does that include? And when I implement, what does that include? All right. So that's your basic flow. Okay. If you have a roadmap from me, most likely you have as a part of your roadmap what your formula is, right? What your secret sauce is broken up into phases. So you should already have your phases. But if you do not have a roadmap for me, then I want you to listen closely because you need to start to create your phases because this is the first phase. All right, let's talk about actionable strategies, okay? With the intake phase, your goal is to get all the needed information, all the needed access, and all needed assets to do what you need to do to get them the result in the transformation. Okay? Keith said, yes, this is needed. Listen up, Keith, because you are a service provider, right? So that's the goal with the intake. This is why you cannot skip over this phase as a service, okay? So again, the goal, get all needed information, get all access needed, and get all assets needed, okay? So this is usually the part where we as service providers have a questionnaire, all right? A questionnaire for detailed understanding of the current situation, okay? And the desired results. So that questionnaire, again, some of y'all got like 40 questions on your questionnaire. So don't forget that the tip about questionnaires is if it's more than 10 questions, it needs to be an interview. It needs to be a meeting to get that information because they're not going to fill out your 40-page questionnaire. They're just not going to do it. They're going to show up to the meeting and you still going to have to take time in that meeting. That was time for something else to help them give you the information that you need to proceed, okay? So keep that in mind. If you have a questionnaire for your business and it's longer than 10 questions, which most likely it is, then that needs to be an extra meeting or extra time in a meeting to get all that you need from that, all right? Now, so in this intake process, okay, always ask what they have tried, what were the results they received, what they believe went right and what they believe went wrong. Okay. We always want to ask these questions. Why? Because we don't want to recommend something to them that they've already tried, or we don't want to test something they can already give us data for. That's wasting time and resources and money. And it makes it look like you don't know what you're doing. Okay. I recently had someone do a marketing plan for one of my clients. And I look at the marketing plan and I'm like, we had a whole meeting. She could have asked me, did we have some of this stuff set up? And I would have told her yes. And so therefore it wouldn't have been in our plan to set this stuff up. I mean, it made her look real crazy. Like even in the budget that we gave her to break down for what we needed, she had $100 for somebody to set up social media. Ma'am, did you ask, did we already have social media? Because now I feel like you wasted my time. Like, I don't need you to tell me what I've already done. Okay. So always ask them, because this is the thing. In our head, most of the time we're going off of the average client. Well, everybody doesn't fit the average client in every way. So we want to seem professional. Always ask them what they've already done. All right. Always ask what they want to achieve with your support and what success with your service looks like to them. Okay. We want to know what they want to achieve. Don't assume you know why they came to you. Okay. Ask them why they came to you. Ask them what they want to get toward the end. And then now you can set the proper expectations of your service. Okay. Because some things that people expect from your service, they expect a miracle, and that ain't what you do. Right. So you need to get that information in. All right. Always ask if they have worked with anybody else in the past to seek solutions for what they're coming to you for, and how did it go? Okay, because what we want to know about is what was their experience. We don't want to repeat some of the same mistakes, okay, or what they deem a mistake, because sometimes it's not even that it was a mistake. It's just that their expectation was not curved correctly, right? And we want to understand what they liked about a past experience so we can make sure that we can bring that to the table also, okay? We want to get their contact information. And I don't just mean their email address, because you're going to need contact information for each level of communication escalation. All right. So yeah, you might have an email, but what if you need something immediately, something that's time sensitive? So you need a phone number that you can call. You need a phone number that you can text, or maybe you bring them into an instant messaging system as being your client, but you got to make sure that they have access to it. You know, like Shawana acting like she don't have access to Slack for her paid membership. You know, you got to make sure they're actually accessing so that they can get what they paid for. Shout out to Shawana Kennedy the meeting. All right. So you also want to give them communication protocols, you know, when and where and who to contact within your business when they have problems. Okay. So it's not just you contacting them. They need to be able to contact you. So we want to have all of that as a part of our questionnaire. All right. Hilarious. All right. We want to get all the needed logins and access that we need, right? So if you are doing some kind of tech component, you need to access what they need. You need to have that as a part of your intake to ask for that access. Ask for all the logins that you need. All right. You want to request all the digital assets that you need and give detailed instructions on where to send them. All right. Because this is why I love pCloud. pCloud is cloud storage that allows you to create a folder that people can upload into instead of them emailing you stuff, right? Half the time, some of the stuff they're trying to send you is too large for email anyway. So how do you want to receive the digital assets? So what digital assets do you need and how do you want to receive it? All right. All of that was just the intake phase. Let's get to the assessment phase. Okay. The goal of the assessment phase is to make sure everything that is needed is present. Okay. So that's all that stuff that you asked for. Did they send it to you? Okay. And make sure everything that you need has been reviewed. Have you looked at the questionnaire? Let me tell you what I hate. I hate when I take the time as a client to go through a questionnaire and answer all the questions. And then I go into the meeting and you're asking me questions that was on the questionnaire. You asked me that already. And what I'm going to do is point you to that questionnaire where I answered it already. Okay. So same thing with customer service, right? You've been in press 1 for this and 2 for this and 4 for this. And then you get on there and they ask you the same doggone question. That make you want to blow a gasket. So make sure that as a part of your assessment, you have reviewed everything. Okay. Last but not least, your goal is to make sure everything is correct. Okay. So For example, with the access, make sure that the access works. Make sure the logins work and actually gives you access. So do not rely on their deductions, okay? They're not the expert. You are the expert. Again, at one time, we had a whole week where I told you act like the professional. Remember about the doctor? I gave you the example. The doctor don't care how you have self-assessed yourself. He don't care. Don't call him asking for no antibiotics. He gonna say, come in so I can take a look. He is the expert. You are the expert. Stop listening to these clients telling you what they think is going on, okay? You can act like you listen, but do your own assessment. You are the expert. Because let me tell you how this step and another step, you know what, let's just go to the other step. Because when you allow them to assess themselves and they are not the expert, 9 times out of 10, they are not correct. They're not correct. Okay. Everybody coming to you may have some information, but you are the expert. So you should do your full assessment. Don't take what they're saying and then build your plan on what they say. They don't know. Okay. Next, review the submitted questionnaire, check the logins, and audit the digital assets. Okay. This is great for Keith and Shawana. People love to send y'all pictures and stuff for y'all to create creators. And then the picture is low resolution. What you supposed to do with that little blurry thing? But see, if you gave them back an asset with that blurry picture, they're going to look at you like you crazy. No. So you got to make sure that they not only did they give you the asset, but it is the right kind of asset. All right. We want to identify key areas of focus, okay, when we're doing an assessment. Key areas of focus. Okay, I think they got this together. Okay, woo, clearly they're going to need something for this. Oh, we need these resources. Oh, this is going to take this much more, whatever. We want to identify the key areas of focus based on our own assessment. Now, again, when you allow them to assess, okay? And when you don't do a thorough questionnaire or at least get all of the information that you need, what tends to happen for you guys is, and y'all can let me know if this is an amen, just put amen in the comments, all right? What tends to happen when you rely on what they say and when you don't do a full questionnaire and review it, okay? What tends to happen is the package that you allowed them to pay, it probably ain't even the package that they needed. They probably needed a higher package because they swore they had all this stuff in line. They already had this. They just need that. Now you get into it. Cheryl already said amen. Now you get into it and you recognize they ain't got nothing. They got their version of what you need. They don't have what you need. Okay. You cannot rely on these people. So now the thing that you allowed them to pay for and had them have the expectation that they're going to get the goal, they're going to meet the goal and get the expectation in mind. Cheryl said double amen. Keith said shaking my head. Okay. Now you got to try to give them that for the little amount they're investing, because now you feel like, oh, I should have known better. Now you feel in some kind of way. So now you have outdone yourself. Now you have set yourself up not to get paid the way you're supposed to get paid. Okay. So we have to do all of these things as a part of our intake and our assessment to make sure that they're paying for the correct level of support for the results that they want. Okay. Cool beans. Now, next phase, strategize. Okay. The goal of strategizing is to figure out what will work best to take them from where they are to where they want to be, based on the things that you do as an available solution. Okay. This is us strategizing in this phase. So based on the assessment that you did, not the one they told you, okay, we're going to develop some high-level solutions tailored to their goals, okay? We're going to consider obstacles and we're going to consider risk. And we're going to come up with a strategy, all right? So that was a quick phase. Then we're going to plan. We're going to take the strategy, okay, and we're going to plan out the steps. So the goal of planning is to lay out the actions to be taken to fulfill the approved strategy, okay? So these are some things that you want to look for when you're planning or consider when you're planning. You want to break down the strategy into actionable steps. The plan itself may have phases. This is implementation. So remember when I showed you the flow? We had the flow of intake, assessment, strategy, plan, implementation. okay? As a part of the plan, we may break down the implementation into its own phases. Let me give you some examples, okay? Maybe even a website. Let's talk about websites. If you hire somebody to do a website service for you, their phases may be getting the copy, getting the creatives, doing the design, and then developing it on your platform, okay? So those may be the phases that are just about implementation. We need to know that as part of the plan. Here's one for Cheryl, and shout out to Heather. Books, right? So steps for books, it might be outline, then write the chapters, then do the editing, get the creatives, and then format it for publishing, right? All of those phases right there, just implementation. All right. But let's get to something that y'all might know, right? Homeowners, apartment owners, painting, okay? Painting. So you want to test the color. You want to clear out the area that you're going to be painting in. You want to cover everything that's left in the area. You might want to tape off. We want to prime. We want to paint the outer edges. We want to paint in to fill. We want to remove any mistakes with the paint thinner, right? We want to get the client feedback, do the finishing touches, and return the removed items. These are phases that are only examples of a part of the planning for the implementation. We need to know this to put it in the plan. All right, cool. I think that's enough examples. All right, also as a part of the plan, we want to assign resources to each of the steps. So the resources are going to be what tools need to be used, what texts need to be used, what team members need to be assigned, okay? Things like that. So we want to assign resources to the steps of the plan. We want to assign deadlines to the steps of the plan, okay? And we want to use those deadlines to come up with that preliminary time-based, based on those deadlines, right? So we need a timeline. And it's based on how long is it going to take to do this phase, how long is it going to take to do this phase, this phase, this phase. That's a part of the plan. Now, we want to make a list of what can cause delays to the plan, okay? Because there are things they can do that can cause a delay. There are things you can do to cause a delay. But we want to, before delays happen, tell them what are the common things that cause delays, okay, as a part of the plan. All right, last phase, implementation. The goal of implementation is to follow the plan so that we can execute and get to the goal, okay? So these are some things you need to consider for implementation. Monitor the progress, okay? Because mistakes should be found internally first. You always need to have some type of quality assurance, quality check point before it goes out to your client, whether that's you or a team member or whoever, but there are things that should be caught internally and not by your client. That's something that makes you look very unprofessional, okay? Let's say, let me see. When I was doing the project, when I'm on the project I'm doing for Dr. Latoya, I know doggone well that I write like I talk. And if I don't take the time to go back and proofread, it's going to look like I wrote it like I talk. I was steadily churning out stuff to Dr. Latoya that she had to edit her damn self. She's like, hey, this word need to be this, and hey, you misspelled this. I'm like, oh, you think that made me look professional? No, okay? But I'm one of those people that I'm I do my best editing after I hit enter. So I know that I need to change my process, okay? So we want to monitor the progress and we catch the mistakes first. All right, get client feedback all along the way, okay? We want to get their feedback all along the way, and we want to limit the number of revisions, okay? This is mostly for Shawana and Cheryl and Keith, but all of us have a version of a revision that we only need to allow a limited amount of. You cannot allow people to just keep tweaking stuff, because what happens is they'll keep tweaking all the way down to the final stages. And some of those tweaks, they don't understand what make you have to start over. It's not a small tweak. It's just small to them, right? Shawana said, you preaching. Keith said they get 3 revisions. That's right. And let me tell y'all how y'all do these revisions. Keith said they get 3 revisions. When you start with the first revision, okay, your goal is to get them closer to what they need to be as the final thing, okay? When we have creatives, what I like to do is I do give 3 revisions, but I also give them 3 choices to start with, okay? So round 1, you get 3 choices. The goal is to end up with 2 choices. Okay, so that's the first revision. Round two, you get these two choices, and the goal is to knock that down to one choice. And now we're finished with round two and the second revision. The final round is to get that last choice perfected. So you have to have a system for this stuff. You can't just keep letting them give you new choices and new things. No. Look at what I gave you and let's fix what I gave you. Okay. Also, always ask for an example of what they're talking about. Okay. Always ask for an example, especially for you visual creative people. Ask for an example and ask them what they like about the example. Because let me tell you how people love, y'all know that Leticia Austin does website services, right? So as a part of the process for her, in her intake, I tell people to give me a link to a homepage that is their inspiration for how they want their homepage to look. Tell me what they like about it. Tell me what they don't like about it, okay? Because just giving me a link to the homepage, all I'm going to do is pick what I like about it, right? It's too much room for interpretation. So we have to start making people interpret. Don't let them tell you, can it be bolder? I need more. I don't know what's missing, but I need more. That's not helpful feedback. What are you talking about? Give me an example. Tell me what you like about the example. Tell me what you don't like about the example. Okay? So we need detailed feedback. All right, next. Keep the client up to date with progress, okay? Give them client reports. Cheryl said, I use style sheets. Dr. Tachi said, yes. Cheryl said, for real, 2 revisions. Cool beans. All right. Keep the client up to date with progress. Give them client reports. So I especially send reports between meetings, right? I include anything they have done and anything they have not done to delay the completion. Also, I include anything I have done or have not done to delay completion. I include any timeline updates, okay? Because as these things are delaying, you need to be given updated timelines. Or guess what? They still expecting it to be done through the original timeline you gave them. So you think that people are smart enough to understand if they're doing all of these delays, there's no way they're going to get this same date. No, you need to state it. Otherwise, they out here feeling like you're taking their money for nothing. You didn't do what you were supposed to do, okay? Last but not least, in the implementation, always get final approvals from the client for each completed phase, okay? We want to get that approval in writing or an audio or a video. Because again, once I'm out of a stage and you have approved that stage, I'm not going back doing work again in that stage. You gave me final approval, it's done. Right? And so what's going to happen is if we need to go back, then you might have to pay extra for us to go back. Okay? So get final approval, and we want to get that in writing, in audio or video, because even if you haven't worked from corporate, that's a cover your ass, right? That's a CYA. Always get the approval where you can prove that you got the approval, and always word it to where are we approved to go to the next phase? You know, is everything approved that we have completed this phase? So they can't say, oh, well, I thought we were still gonna, no. You ain't think that, okay? So Shawana said, yep, exactly. All right, so the question that I'm going to ask you guys, and we're going to start with Kimberly Miles. So Kimberly, put yours in the studio, and then we'll go to Keith. Keith, if you don't want to come off the mic, put yours in the studio, and we'll start with Dr. Tachi. But your question is, what is the formula for how you service your clients to get them to their desired results? AKA, what are your service phases, okay? Or do you have questions on how to break down what you do as a service into phases, all right? Think about that question, because I'm about to share with you what mine looks for getting people to their first 6 figures. Let me find it really quickly. Boom, here it is. And let me check on YouTube, because I know they might have been over there saying amen or something. Look, YouTube been quiet. YouTube, Chantilly, what you doing over there? You didn't want to amen nothing? Okay, so let me show y'all an example. Let me get this over here. Uh-oh, how did that? Okay, there we go. All right, let me share my screen. Let me make sure the right thing is showing. All right, it is. All right, so I take clients through 6 phases to get them to 6 figures, okay? When I am creating their plan of action, their roadmap, I am planning based on 6 phases, okay? Phase 1 is I need to know what their ideal of freedom is. so that I can base the plan on their idea of freedom. Okay. Phase 2, I need a definition of their business. I need clarity about what their business is about, what they do as a business, what are the goals, the mission, the vision of the business, all the things. Okay. Phase 3, based on that clarity and that freedom, I create the structure. I design the structure for their 6 figures. Okay. So that is the strategy. Number 4, phase 4, now I'm going to develop the plan. Okay. In phase 5, I'm going to determine what resources they need to execute the plan, because I'm only giving them the plan. I'm not executing it. So I need them to know what resources they need to execute the plan. So again, that's going to be tech, tools, and team. Excuse me. Last but not least, number 6 is what are the things they're going to need to drive that plan forward to dominate. So these are my 6 phases to getting people to their 6 figures as a service that I provide in the roadmaps that I create. Okay. So you need to be thinking about what are your phases or your formula. So if you have a blueprint, it's going to be what is your formula. Okay. Now let's start with Kimberly probably is going to drop it in the chat. Keith already said he's going to drop it in the chat. So let's start with Dr. Tachi. Dr. Tachi, what is, let me drop this, there we go. What is the formula for how you service your clients to get them their desired results? Or do you have questions on how to break down what you do into phases?
Hi, yes. Let's break down what I do into phases. So I do, like if I work with a client like on a video, there are phases, but I'm interested in, for the network, for example, how would I break that into phases for example, getting someone to show creation? I have an idea. I ask questions, but what phases?
So let's start with, and let me share my screen. So let's go back to our flow. Because again, if you give a service, all of this is going to be a part of your service, right? So we're talking about your creators, right, Dr. Tachi?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to do an intake, because what we know is every creator is not the right creator for your network. We're not just accepting anybody, okay? So we need an intake process. Then we need to assess what they've given us, because people like to say anything. You are past the point of accepting creators who don't have their own audience, right? So that might be something they need to have. So one of the things that you ask for in intake may be, what is their social media? Okay, so when you go look at their social media and you see that they got 3 followers over here, okay, they got 5 over here. You go look at their accounts and you see they never do video. You don't have any examples of them speaking and doing video. They don't have any past interviews, none of that. So in your assessment, they may not be ready to be on your network. So we need intake, we need assessment, okay? Now, if they give you the intake and you assess and they're great for the network, then you need to strategize, because a lot of creators come to you and you know what they do, they know what they do, but they don't know what kind of show to have. So now we need to know, what does the network need, right? What is missing? What are some of the gaps that are left by the creators that we have based on what do we need for the network? So help them to understand what would be of value to the network, not just what they want to do. Okay. Then also, we're going to take that strategy for the plan. So your plan is what time slot, what day. Sometimes it might be like you had to teach us about lighting and the camera and the audio, right? So that's going into the implementation. So you pretty much have it down, Dr. Tachi. You just don't have it as a process. And so you need to make it an official process.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I was trying to, I guess, fit it into this whole flow. So it does make sense. I already have all of these parts. Yes.
You do. You just need to make it as an official process. We need to document them. Now, what'll happen is once you document this process and pull it all together, now an intern can handle a new person wanting to come in. They can handle most of this, especially the front end, right? So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Cool beans, no problem. Dr. LaFera, what is the formula for how you service your clients to get them their desired results? Or do you have questions on how to break down what you do into phases?
So far, since I just started doing this again, I guess my original formula is to give everybody an assessment to see where they are, see why they came to me. Have them fill it out, then I review it before I talk to them. The offer that I have right now for them is for them to get their energy and stuff back. So I would have them sign up for labs and all that stuff before I even see them. So I'm not guessing like what's wrong with them, and then we can go over it. And then I give them like a schedule for like how we're gonna meet, what they should expect to see over what period of time and all that stuff. As far as like my VA, which I just got one last week. I guess like I could give her all of this stuff and have her to like have a deadline for all this stuff needing to be done, so that we can get this stuff done within the period of time that this program is supposed to last.
I like it. I love it. Now, see, the crazy thing is, see, you are a medical doctor, so you already know that your assessment is the assessment, right? So you understand that these phases happen because that's what happens in hospitals. That's what happened with treatment plans and all of that. So you are already adept to do all of these things. So very good. Thank you, Dr. LaFera. All right, Dr. LaToya, what is the formula for how you service your clients to get them their desired results? Or do you have questions on how to break down what you do into phases?
Sorry. For my individual clients, I don't think I have when they book a session, there's a question. I guess that's the intake. There's a question on the form about what their intention is for booking the session. And then when we start the session, I just reiterate their intention and then that's it. And then we go into the session.
Okay. So it sounds like to me that the only thing that you do ahead of time is the intake. But in the session, you are assessing, you're strategizing, and you're going to give them a plan of implementation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the only difference with yours is like after you do your, because a lot of stuff is energy and a lot of stuff is they need to be present, not just on a paper. That's why you have the same phases, but they happen differently. So intake happens external, outside of the session, and the rest of the stages happen in the session. And then, you know, you give them, yours is kind of like a roadmap, right? You give them what they need to do, and then they implement outside of the session. So yeah. And so you already know for the rest of your stuff, your phases are your levels. Dr. LaFera, we're gonna mute you. So Dr. LaToya, for your rest of your stuff, like your Akashic records and your ancestral healing, you have your levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Those are kind of the big phases of them going through the overview of the whole thing, and then break down each level into its own phases.
Okay. Yes.
Cool beans. All right. Let's go to Cheryl Ferguson. Cheryl, what is the formula for how you service your clients to get them their desired results? Because we already know that you have those.
I do intake, and I have 2 intake documents. The document during intake, and then once they fill out, you know, we have the conversation. Then I have another document for them to fill out so that it is closer to our expectations. The other is when we do the lessons, sessions, whatever you want to call them, I make sure that that's written out, and almost like a curriculum, that it's written out and that the dates and all that stuff are assigned, what the homework is, when it's due, and any office hours that they may need if they've got questions, that kind of stuff. Because sometimes email can't give you what you need in response to a question. Sometimes it can. The other thing is the milestones, the completion of phases and projects and all that good stuff. That's something that I need to do as far as having it documented. And what you just said here confirms that this is definitely a necessary part, because in the last 2 years, I had 2 clients. One of them came back after 2 years talking about, I needed that, sir, ma'am, no. You know what I'm saying? And so, but it was on me, I was like, why are they doing this? The other thing is the timeline. I was using fluid timelines because everybody doesn't work at the same speed. And I had an example um, where it was like, it doesn't matter. This is the speed I work at. And if it works for them, then we are go. If not, they need to find somebody else, because I found that my programs were 3 months or 6 months and they're running into a year. That's not working because the pricing is not for a year. So the other thing is what you said that I need to definitely do, and that is to make sure that we sign off on the project with their approval, so that that's it, we're done. And what you were saying earlier about the revisions, that kind of stuff. I had a situation where a client and I guess when you do service-based business, especially when there's a lot of coaching involved, you have to get past that mental resistance first.
Yes.
And that may never happen with some clients, and you just have to call it a day. I had one, and the client didn't do what they were supposed to do. And so they didn't get the results. And but I did have them sign saying that I was not responsible for what they were doing because they weren't following the curriculum. Well, it turned out badly for the client, and they said, well, we're going to do it again, and you can do that. Nope, 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 nope. If we're going to do it again, you need to pay me again. He was okay with that because he saw that I was firm. So what you're saying here, some of it, like I said, I didn't do some of it. I've seen the results of why I need to do it and tighten it up. But I am telling you, this system that you just given us, it will make life so much easier, and it will make people give you your money without a complaint. One of the things people ask for, well, what am I getting? It's in the contract. It's just like, and they want to. I've even had 2 people ask me, because my contract doesn't have a whole lot of verbiage in it, so they can't play with commas and punctuation and turn it into what they want. And they asked me, well, can you rewrite the contract? No, sir, ma'am, not doing it. And I don't think we're a fit. So I'll end right there, because I could go on this subject forever.
Cool beans. All right. Thank you for that affirmation. All right. Keith said his process is intake and assessment, proposal and agreement, research and strategy, concept development, design and refinement, delivery and implementation, follow-up and evaluation, closure and reflection. So Keith is a graphic designer. As you can see, he got a whole process, a professional graphic designer. So love that, Keith. I love that. All right, let's go to Shawana. Shawana Kennedy Media. What is the formula for how you service your clients to get them their desired results? AKA, what are your service phases? Or do you have questions on how to break down what you do into phases? You shouldn't, because you have a roadmap.
Yes, I actually do have a roadmap. So thank you very much. Over time and through, I say by choice or by force, lessons, right? The experience has made me tweak it and refine it. So now that I actually have 2, one, if it's related, where yes, some of the steps are similar in the social media versus video recording production, because there are a few things that are a little bit different. Because I promote on and off camera, some things I may not need if you're off camera versus being on camera. So I do have 2 formulas that set up for that. One of the things that I will say, and that's not a shameless plug even for my show tonight on Indie Soup Media Network, C-Suite at 7:30 Eastern Standard. My guest tonight is an attorney, and she was in the conversation. She mentioned documentation is advocacy. So our documentation of the things that we do in our service agreements and the sort and the like. And a matter of fact, me being better about my Kennedy media business is having certain official contracts created and designed for everything that you have been speaking about today. Because I am a big proponent on people not trying to come back. So I have gotten some pushback with my itemization in how detailed I am because of all of the things and the extra services that people believe that they want. I don't even think it may be them trying to be slick, but in some cases it may be.
It's
but
not. Let me tell you what it is, Shawana. It's that as you are doing the work, and now that they don't have to worry about that part anymore, their brain keep going forward. So they're trying to add in that going forward to what you're already doing is what it is. So everybody's not malicious. It's just that you're the person that can do it. And as they're thinking about it, they're trying to add it in to get the most out of what you're doing. And it's just not it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a no. So yeah. But we're going to talk about protections later. I asked you what your phases are because we need the phases.
The phase, because even one for social media, I think I'm going to change the name. Like right now it's called like Pearl. That's because we do where we uncover certain things, the assets, the assess your brand. Then of course we enhance what that looked like through the strategy. But then of course the A is amplify. We amplify what that looks like. And then we take a reflect to make sure that everything that we have spoken about that is coming through in a part of our implementation before we launch it to the public. And of course, for video, of course, what would that be? That would be visibility, because we want you to be seen, heard, and paid for what it is that you get to do. Thank you.
Right now, Shawana, I love that. Okay. I love it. Let's see. YouTube is quiet over here, even though we got 2-3 people watching. Chantilly, if you want to answer the question, if you're still there, go ahead and answer the question. If you guys have any more questions about the phases for service, be thinking about them while I go to the announcements, okay? To our viewers, if you haven't already, help us out by giving us our today's live a thumbs up, okay? And subscribe to the channel. Now, there's only 2 ways to get these show notes. And as y'all see, I gave y'all some good stuff. I gave you the flow of the phases for a service. I gave you what to consider for each one of those phases. If you want my show notes, there are only 2 ways to get them. Number 1, get in the group. shaycannon.info/group. Get in the group. They are in the files section. Number 2, you can get the entire morning show in your inbox, okay? You will get an email in the morning reminding you to hop on, and then you will get an email in the afternoon with 2 links, one to the replay and one to the show notes. So to get the whole morning show in your inbox, go to shaycannon.com/show and sign up, all right? The December calendar for our free group has been released. It was released on yesterday. So go in the group and look at the features tab and everything is there. I know that everybody in studio has seen it because you wouldn't have the new link to be in studio if you didn't see some of the events for December. All right. This Thursday, we're having the December collab live at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I'll live stream into the group. It will not be a Zoom. I'll live stream into the group. You show up and bring what you need as a collaboration for your business and what you're willing to give in exchange for that collaboration, okay? It only happens in the free group, and that's where the event details are, shaycannon.info/group, okay? On Friday, we have a Get Shit Done work session from 1 to 5 for the paid membership, and the free group gets to come in at 3 o'clock on that last half. They're invited to join us. So again, those details are in the free group, shaycannon.info/group. All right, before we get out of here, does anybody have any questions about how to create the phases for their service as the first part of what we need as a foundation for creating a business proposal? Tomorrow, we're going to talk about payments, okay? Tomorrow, we're going to talk about payments. Let's see what's going on in the studio chat. Let's see. Shawana said 2024 prices are not 2025 prices. Sure are not. Everybody should be raising them. Key said them prices go up January 1st. Exactly. Exactly. So look at your pricing as a part of your 2025 business. Anybody have any questions before we get out of here?
Shay, this is Cheryl. I have a comment, or
Okay.
I wanted to share something if you all want to listen.
Okay.
This past weekend, local young lady, put up her holiday sale, and I noticed some things. So I reached out to her. She just did a cosmetic line, skincare and color, and we had a conversation. And I told her, what I thought might help her maximize her sales, because what she was doing was going to flop in this area. And so I didn't tell her that, but so anyway, I told her, I said, I'd like to place an order. So I placed an order, and she had to get me some more information. What were the colors? What were this? I go to the website's all jacked up and the whole 9 yards. I said, you know what? She needs us. And I've invited her to the group, as a matter of fact. Well, anyway, I gave her that information, and she tried it, and she had such success that she called me and asked me a few more questions. Well, what turned out, she ended up being my client. The results that she got over the weekend were so fabulous to her, is that I got the whole line of her makeup and skincare as a gift. And I was like, oh my goodness. And she said, and yes, I'm paying you as well. I was like, thank you, Lord. So, being able to have that process that you talk about, that we hear the phases, when we continue to do them, we'll be able to verbalize them without having a piece of paper. And that's what I did. That was my point. I verbalized the phases, and she saw, hey, this is what I need. And she's had every class, every pitch. She's earned money from pitching to groups and things like this, but she just hadn't had the success with her products. So now the two are coming together.
Yeah. So, that's basically the crux of what I teach, right? We are always out here trying to jump and do stuff, and we have not done the proper foundation to be able to do those things well, or to be able to do them at all. And so that's why my entire process for helping you to get to your first 6 figures is starting with that foundation. But even something as small as getting out a proposal in a timely manner, if you have not done the things you need to do as a foundation, that's what's making it hard. That's what's making it take too long. So anything that you're doing that seems like it's hard, that seems like it's taking you too long, it's probably because you don't have the proper foundation to do it right, or to do it timely. Okay, or to do it at all. So yes, cool beans. All right, guys, that's it for today. The studio is closing in 5,